The city was silent, as if even the wind had forgotten how to move. Buildings stood like empty shells, and every clock ticked out of rhythm, as though time itself had grown tired of repeating the same mistakes. In that frozen world lived two boys, Ren and Taro. They were born centuries after the last sunrise, in a place where light was artificial, and people no longer remembered what it meant to feel warmth. Yet both boys shared something dangerous. They remembered things no one else did. Ren often asked, "Didn't we already live this day before?" And Taro, though he tried to ignore it, always answered, "Yes, but it ended differently last time." One night, Ren woke up to a strange noise, a static hum coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. His watch had stopped at 3:33 a.m. The moon outside glowed blue, and the shadows on his walls seemed to move backward. Drawn by something he couldn't explain, he left his small apartment and walked through the empty streets until he reached the old train station, a place abandoned for centuries, swallowed by rust and fog. There, between the rails, something impossible stood, a door made of pure light, trembling as if alive, breathing in the rhythm of his heartbeat. Every time it pulsed, the world around it seemed to flicker. Forward, forward again. Ren stood frozen, breathless. Then he heard it, a voice, soft, distant, calling his name not once, but 1,000 times at once. Ren. The sound came from inside the light. His hand trembled as he reached out, and just as his fingertips touched the glow, he heard another voice shouting through the storm, "Don't!" It was Taro running toward him, but before he could stop his friend, the world cracked open like glass. The two boys vanished, swallowed by the light. They awoke under a sky that didn't belong to them. It was bright, full of clouds and warmth, and the air smelled of life. Neon signs flickered, cars moved through the streets, and laughter echoed from cafes. A large digital board read, "Tokyo 2025. Ren looked around in disbelief. This is the past," he whispered. Taro clenched his fists. "No. This is wrong. We're not supposed to be here." But Ren smiled for the first time in years. Maybe this is where we were meant to be. They walked through the streets like ghosts, invisible to everyone yet deeply aware of how real everything felt. The sound of rain on umbrellas, the smell of food cooking, the warmth of sunlight. It was overwhelming. They had spent their whole lives under a steel sky, and now the world was alive again. But the more they walked, the more wrong things began to feel. Every reflection they passed, mirrors, puddles, glass windows, showed not their faces but flashes of another world. Burning cities, collapsing towers, oceans of ash. The future was bleeding through the past. That night, as they hid in an abandoned arcade, they met a girl named Mika. She had eyes that didn't seem to belong to her age. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "You're walking on the edge of a wound. Every step you take tears it open more." Ren stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" Mika sighed. "Time isn't a line, it's alive, and you're hurting it." But Ren didn't listen. He wanted to fix things, to save the world that had died in his time. "If we change something now," he said, "maybe the future will heal." Taro shook his head. "You can't fix time, Ren. You can only make it remember you." But Ren began anyway. He stopped a man from dying in an accident. He saved a house from burning down. He told a stranger to take a different train, and that train never crashed. At first he felt powerful, like a god rewriting destiny. But soon he began to forget things. Small things, then big ones. His favorite song, his mother's voice, the face of his brother. Then entire days vanished. When Taro reminded him of their home, Ren just stared blankly. "Home?" he asked. "What home?" Mika warned him again. "Every time you change something, the world takes something back. Time collects its debt." But Ren didn't stop, until one day he found his own name carved into a gravestone in an old cemetery. It read, "Ren Akihara, born 2198, died unknown." He fell to his knees. "It's not possible," he whispered. Taro tried to pull him away. "This is what happens when you try to fix what's already broken." The sky darkened, and the rain began to fall again, slow and heavy, each drop freezing before it hit the ground. Time was collapsing. Ren turned to Taro, eyes wide. "If I find the beginning, I can fix everything. I just need to go back one more time." Before Taro could stop him, the light returned, the door pulsing, trembling, calling. Ren ran toward it, disappearing inside. When Taro followed, he entered a world that no longer made sense. Half the city burned under a red sky. The other half was frozen in crystal blue light. The ground bent like paper, and the air was filled with clocks melting in mid-air. Rivers flowed upward. People moved backward. In the middle of it all stood Ren, surrounded by shards of light. His eyes glowed like stars. "I found it," he said. "The beginning." Taro's voice broke. "Ren, this isn't the start, it's the end." But Ren smiled softly. "Every end is a beginning for someone else." He reached out to the light. "I can still make it right." The door screamed this time, not a whisper but a roar that split the sky in half. Taro shouted, "Stop!" But Ren was already gone, swallowed by brilliance. The light burst outward, tearing the world apart. Everything folded in on itself, past, present, and future, colliding into a single breath. Then silence. When Taro opened his eyes again, he was back at the train station. The rain had stopped. The sun was rising. The world was normal. People moved. Cars passed. Birds sang. The door was gone. And so was Ren. Taro searched for him everywhere, in the city, in dreams, in reflections, but no one remembered his name. To everyone, Ren had never existed. Only Taro remembered, and even his memories began to fade around the edges, like old photographs left in the sun. He carried Ren's pocket watch in his hand. It was still frozen at 3:33. Sometimes, late at night, it ticked once, just once, and every time it did, he heard a faint voice whispering through the static. Ren's voice. "Keep walking." So he does. Every morning before dawn, Taro walks to the same tracks where it all began. He stands there, waiting, hoping the door will return. Some nights, he sees a flicker of light in the distance, and his heart stops. But the door never opens again. Still, he walks, not because he thinks he can change time, not because he wants to escape, but because walking forward is the only thing that reminds him he's still alive. And somewhere beyond the flow of centuries, two boys still walk through time. Not to rewrite history, but to remember what it means to live within it. Because in the end, time doesn't forget those who dare to defy it. It only keeps their footsteps echoing forever.